Hey everyone, welcome back to the Soundbyte. My name is Andrew, and today we're going to be jumping into a bit of Motley Crue and going back to their very first album, Too Fast for Love, which came out in 1981. It's hard to believe that they've been around for that long, and obviously a lot of ups and downs and a lot of controversy and yeah, it's been an interesting ride for Motley Crue, and I got into them very early on when I was a little kid, and kind of got into all the 80s stuff and all that. I always kind of felt like as far as like the 80s rock, they were kind of the epitome of that era. You know, obviously there were a lot of other great bands and stuff of as far as that kind of style of music and stuff, but Motley Crue kind of just represented a lot of that stuff at the time for me. And at the end of the day, I didn't really pay too much attention to a lot of the gimmicks and the style and looks and stuff like that. It was more about the music, and I just love the riffs and stuff. You know, Mick Mars is still, in my opinion, one of the greatest guitar players of all time, and has come up with some of the most memorable riffs of all time, and just catchy, hooky stuff. You know, which is kind of what I look for at the end of the day. And so Motley Crue have always been a band that I sort of always enjoyed. Obviously, I sort of once the grunge stuff sort of came in, I kind of jumped off of them a little bit. Although they did put out a fantastic album in 1994, the self-titled, which I think a lot of Crew fans sort of agree that was one of their best albums, and that was the one without Vince Neil. We might take a look at that one at some point in the future as well, because it is a fantastic album. But for now, we're going to look at the very first album, and not only the first album, but also the first track, the opening track called Live Wire, a song that I remember very well in certainly one of the very early ones. And I don't know if it was the very first song that the band ever wrote or released. I know it was put out as a single in the video back in the day, but I don't know if it was ever the first thing that they ever put out. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments if you do know the story behind what was the very first song that everyone heard from Motley Crue. This would certainly be up there in one of the early ones at the very least. So let's check it out. Live Wire from Motley Crue. Amazing they got the double kicks there already, you know?
Free, a little bit better than it used to be, 'cause I'm alive. Live wire, 'cause I'm alive. I'm live wire, 'cause I'm alive. Live wire, 'cause I'm alive. I'm live wire.
That bass is coming through nice and clear from Nikki Sixx. Yeah, it's amazing how the double kicks were kind of right there in the beginning, and it's not really traditionally a big thing in rock music. I mean, it is a little bit, but not really like it is in metal. And at that time in 1981, double kicks weren't quite a big thing in heavy metal. It was sort of not until sort of like the thrash stuff came in that sort of the double kicks were sort of more prominent. So it's interesting that that's sort of there in Motley Crue, which again, it's one of the very few songs, if not the only song that I can recall that has double kicks in Motley Crue. So Tommy Lee has always been a one of my favorite drummers as well. He just has such a great rhythm and groove. Say what you want about the band, but there's no denying that there's definitely some talent in that band as far as like Tommy Lee with his groove and Mick Mars with all those riffs and stuff. But yeah, undeniably very 80s sounding, but sort of not in a necessarily bad way. It doesn't sound like a sort of glam kind of thing. It sounds more like a kind of coming out of the 70s a little bit, you know, and kind of going into the 80s. Very time stamped for that period, you know. So that was the thing about a lot of music back then. It was kind of, you could tell what era it was, you know. And I've had this discussion before, I mentioned in other videos that, you know, in the last 20 years, it's been very hard to kind of pinpoint exactly when a song came out, you know, just based on the style of music. it's just been very hard to kind of figure out where things are, you know. I mean, a song that came out 15 years ago could have come out last year, and it's harder to tell, I guess. That, however, you couldn't say that that came out in the 90s. That definitely sounds like something from at least the very early 80s anyway, you know. Because they obviously that band sort of progressed quite a bit into a more polished sort of sound, you know, whereas this early stuff here is definitely got more of a gritty kind of sound, which is kind of what glam metal was in the early days of it. You know, in the 70s and stuff, it was more sort of gritty sounding and raw and stuff. So, which a lot of Crew fans, as far as I know, prefer, I think. So, despite the fact that they got massive by the end of the 80s, you know, so.
I'll either break her face or take that leg, get in my face at will. Cold war thought and never let loose, going for the kill. Take my pick to break your walls, hot up the night, no, no, no. Better turn it loose, you better set me free, cause I'm a hot, I'm a young, run free. A little bit better than it used to be, cause I'm alive. I'm alive, cause I'm alive. I'm alive, cause I'm alive. I'm alive, cause I'm alive. I'm alive. Come on, baby, gotta play with me. Well, I'm your live wire. Better lock your doors. I'm on a prowl tonight. Well, be mine
Was that a cowbell that I heard earlier as well? On the drum parts there. Definitely sounding like it. But yeah, the album cover as well. I want to mention quickly. With the sort of the guy sort of standing there with all the leather gear and stuff. Anyone know the story behind that? You know, who is it? Is it anyone in the band, or is it just sort of like a paid actor or whatever? Let me know if you know the story behind that. And I remember vaguely there was a story where that was actually inspired by another well-known cover. I don't know who. I can't remember the entire story, but if you do know, let me know what the story is behind where that image came from or what inspired it for the first Motley Crue album, Too Fast for Love, because it is kind of iconic and it kind of represents a lot of not just what Motley Crue were about, but also just that sort of era of music as well. Hence why it became such an iconic sort of image. But yeah, let me know what the story is behind that the album cover. There you go, cowbell. There you go. There's a live wire from Motley Crue, and yeah, it's not bad of a song. It's certainly a little different to what they eventually became, but it still had that kind of core signature sort of Motley Crue sound, you know. Really, I think a lot of it was just I kind of feel a lot of the sound was based on Tommy Lee's groove and Mick Mars's riffs, and I think a lot of that sound came from that and kind of continued on. And even though they kind of went in different directions a little bit and kind of became more polished and stuff, I think that that integral sort of part of the band was always there. And obviously that kind of changed a little bit when Tommy Lee left the band and for a brief period, and then it does change the sound when you have such an integral sort of part. That's sort of where the band's kind of built around that a little bit, you know. So, but there you go, Livewire from their debut album, Too Fast for Love, 1981. Yeah, if there's any other Crue songs that you think I should jump into, it's because it's not really a band that I listen to a lot these days anymore. Although I do sort of jump into the self-titled one quite a bit because it's still to me sounds a bit fresh. Even though it does have a little bit of that sort of grungy sort of sound from the 90s, but otherwise it's still a fantastic album and it hasn't been dated much at all, in my opinion anyway. But otherwise, if there's anything else that I should check out, especially the early Motley Crue stuff, yeah, let me know, and I'll definitely put it on the list. So anyway, thanks for tuning in as always, and please subscribe if you haven't. Thank you to those who have subscribed, and check out all the social links in the description below, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.